The sky over Dralos IV was heavy with dark clouds. Thunder rumbled in the distance, mixing with the sounds of battle. Fires burned in the ruins of what was once a thriving city. Buildings lay broken and crumbled, their walls cracked and shattered. Smoke rose in thick black plumes, drifting across the battlefield like ghosts of a dying hope. In the middle of the chaos stood the Defenders, a small group of aliens from many different worlds. They fought together, united by a desperate cause, to hold the last city on Dralos IV against the Krelvans, a brutal and cruel enemy. The Krelvans wanted this planet for themselves. They wanted to crush every resistance, destroy every hope, and claim Dralos IV as their own. Commander Elon stood on the rooftop of a half-destroyed tower, looking down at the battle below. His forearms gripped a plasma rifle tightly. His bright green eyes scanned the advancing enemy forces. The Krelvans moved in waves like a dark tide, pushing forward with heavy weapons and vicious soldiers. Their machines growled and roared, stomping over the broken streets. Elon's heart pounded in his chest. He had never seen anything like this. The Defenders were outnumbered, their weapons weaker, and their supplies running low. Every hour felt like a fight for survival. The city's defenses were crumbling, and soon, the last hope of Dralos IV might be lost. Near Elon, a young soldier named Mira fired her laser rifle, taking down an enemy scout. She was scared but determined. Her world, her family, her friends, all depended on their success. She wished the humans had come like the stories promised. There had been whispers for weeks now, rumors about a powerful human warship that could change the battle. The Void Hunter, they called it. A ship so fast and deadly that enemies fled at the mere mention of its name. Humans were strange to most of these alien species, but their reputation was known everywhere. They said humans fought with a fire no other race had, a fierce courage and cleverness that could turn impossible battles into victories. But no human ship had come yet. The Council had sent messages begging for help, messages that had gone unanswered. Every day without help made the Defenders weaker and the Krelvans stronger. Elon lowered his rifle and took a deep breath. "We can't hold out much longer," he said quietly to Mira. "The Krelvans are too many, and we don't have the weapons to stop their machines, but we have to try." Mira nodded. "I heard the Void Hunter is coming. They won't leave us to die." Elon smiled sadly. "I want to believe that too, but hope can be dangerous if it blinds us." A sudden explosion shook the tower. Dust and debris rained down on them. The Krelvans had launched a new attack on the eastern wall. "Move! Defend the wall!" Elon shouted. The Defenders rushed down the stairs, joining the soldiers already fighting to hold the wall. The Krelvans advanced with heavy armor suits, firing energy cannons that blasted through shields and walls. The Defenders fired back with everything they had. Elon saw his closest friend Kira fall to the ground, hit by enemy fire. He ran to her side, pulling her behind cover. "Hold on, Kira. Medics are on their way." Kira coughed and smiled weakly. "We have to hold. For them. For the humans." Elon nodded, fighting back the rising panic in his chest. The truth was, they all hoped for the humans, their unknown allies from the void. But that hope was thin and fragile. Hours passed like this. The battle raged with no clear end. The Defenders fought with every ounce of strength they had. They shared stories of the humans, tales of daring rescues, battles won against impossible odds, and the legendary bravery of Captain Rhea Sloan and her crew aboard the Void Hunter. But the Krelvans kept pushing. At night, the city was silent, except for the distant sounds of war machines and cries of the wounded. Elon looked up at the stars. Somewhere beyond the dark sky, the Void Hunter sailed through the void of space. He imagined the huge ship, powerful and shining, moving toward them like a comet of hope. But night turned to day, and still, no ship appeared. In a small command center, Counselor Vren stared at the blinking communication console. She had sent message after message pleading for aid. Each message returned with silence. Her heart ached with worry for the Defenders and the people of Dralos IV. "We can't hold much longer," she whispered. "If no help comes, we lose everything." Outside, the city's defenders prepared for another wave of the Krelvans. They cleaned their weapons, patched their armor, and said quiet prayers to their gods. Some wrote messages to their families, knowing this might be their last chance to speak. Ilan gathered his team. "We don't know if the humans will come, but if they don't, we fight to the last breath, not for ourselves, but for those who can't." Mira clenched her fists. "We won't give up." The next morning, the Krelvans launched a massive attack. Their war machines moved like a storm, crushing buildings and tearing through defenses. The defenders fought bravely, but the city walls cracked under the pressure. Just as hope began to fade, a strange sound filled the sky, a low, powerful roar that made the ground tremble. Soldiers stopped fighting and looked up. From the far edge of space, a gleaming shape appeared, cutting through the clouds like a blade of light. It was unlike anything they had seen before, sleek, fast, and armed with weapons that pulsed with deadly energy. The defenders stared in disbelief. The legends were true. A human warship had come. The Void Hunter was here. Far beyond the war-torn skies of Dralos IV, in the quiet darkness of deep space, the human warship Void Hunter sailed like a shadow across the stars. The ship was huge and fast, built for battle and survival in the most dangerous places. It was a symbol of human strength, and it carried a crew as tough and clever as any in the galaxy. Captain Rhea Sloane stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the glowing stars ahead. She was a woman in her early 30s with sharp features and a calm, confident voice. Years of space battles and close calls had made her strong, but she never lost her sharp mind or her hope for the future. "Captain," said Lieutenant Mara, her communications officer, "we've picked up a weak distress signal. It's from the Dralos system." Rhea's eyes narrowed. She knew the Dralos system well. It was a small group of planets, mostly peaceful colonies, until the Krelvans attacked. Many thought the coalition of alien races there was doomed without outside help. "Can you trace the signal?" Rhea asked. Mara nodded. "Yes, Captain. It's faint but steady. Looks like they've been calling for days." Rhea turned from the star-filled view to her crew. "Prepare for a jump to Dralos IV. This could be the fight we've been waiting for." The crew moved quickly, running through their battle checks. The Void Hunter was ready to roar into action. Rhea remembered the stories she'd heard when she first joined the fleet. Stories about Dralos IV and the Krelvans. The Krelvans were known across many star systems for their cruelty and power. They took what they wanted, destroying anything and anyone who stood in their way. The colonies on Dralos IV were small and peaceful, not prepared for such a brutal enemy. But the defenders did not give up. Rumors told of their courage and hope for rescue by humans who were famous as Void Hunters, soldiers who appeared from nowhere to turn impossible battles into victories. Rhea's ship was one of the fastest and most powerful in the fleet. The Void Hunter had a crew trained to fight and survive in the darkest parts of space. They knew they were often the last hope for many planets, and they carried that burden with pride. "Captain," said the chief engineer Jax, "all systems are green, ready to jump on your order." Rhea nodded. "Engage jump drive." The stars outside the ship stretched and twisted as the Void Hunter shot through space faster than light. The crew felt the sudden shift as they passed through the jump point. Moments later, the ship came out of the jump just outside the orbit of Dralos IV. The planet below was scarred by war, its cities burning and broken. The Krelvans had already taken much of the surface. Rhea looked down at the planet. "Damage is worse than we expected," she said quietly. "Captain, we're detecting multiple enemy fleets in orbit and on the surface," said the tactical officer. "They have heavy weaponry, but their ships lack speed and maneuverability." "That's good," Rhea said with a faint smile. "We'll use their weakness." The Void Hunter moved like a ghost through space, dodging enemy sensors and weapons fire. The Krelvans were surprised to see a human ship here, and their response was quick but disorganized. On the bridge, the crew worked smoothly. Weapons charged, shields raised, engines ready for sudden maneuvers. Rhea knew the importance of surprise. and speed in battle. Open a channel to the Dralos defenders, Rhea ordered. The screen flickered and soon the faces of the alien commanders appeared. Commander Elon's green eyes met Rhea's steady gaze. Commanders of Dralos 4, Rhea said firmly. This is Captain Rhea Sloan of the human warship Void Hunter. We received your distress call. We are here to help. There was silence, for a moment before Elon spoke. Captain Sloan, your arrival is a blessing. Our forces are stretched thin. The Krelvans push us hard every hour. We'll change that, Rhea replied. Prepare your defenses and move your troops to hold key positions. We will strike the Krelvan fleet first and clear the skies. Elon nodded. Understood. We will do everything we can. The channel closed. Rhea turned to her crew. This is what we trained for. Let's show them what humans can do. The Void Hunter launched its attack with precision. Using its speed, the ship struck at enemy supply lines and command ships. The Krelvans were powerful, but slow to respond to the sudden human attack. Explosions lit up space as the Void Hunter's weapons found their marks. Enemy ships tried to chase, but the human ship dodged with skill and speed. The crew cheered quietly as their plan worked. Below on the planet, the defenders felt the shift in the battle. Enemy reinforcements were delayed, and some supply lines were cut. For the first time in weeks, they saw a chance to breathe and regroup. Rhea watched the battle unfold from her ship. She knew this was just the beginning. The Krelvans were ruthless and would not give up easily. We need to prepare for a ground assault, she said to her officers. Once we weaken their fleet, we move to support the defenders on the surface. Lieutenant Mara nodded. I'll open communications with the ground teams and share tactical updates. Good, Rhea said. This fight isn't just about firepower. It's about teamwork and hope. As the Void Hunter roared through space, striking fear into the Krelvans, Rhea felt the weight of command but also a fierce pride. Humanity was known as fierce fighters, and now they were the last hope for Dralos IV. The legends were true. The humans were coming from the void, dangerous, unstoppable, and ready to fight. The Void Hunter moved fast and silent through space, a sleek shadow against the backdrop of distant stars. Captain Rhea Sloan stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the holographic map of Dralos IV's battle zones. The situation below was desperate, but every piece of information they gathered brought them closer to victory. Captain, said Lieutenant Mara, pointing to a cluster of enemy ships moving toward the planet's surface. The Krelvans are sending reinforcements. They want to crush the defenders before we can help. Rhea frowned. Then we have no time to waste. Prepare for an intercept. The crew quickly adjusted the ship's course. The Void Hunter accelerated, streaking through the void toward the enemy fleet. The hum of the ship's engines filled the bridge with energy. Each crew member knew the risks. This was more than a rescue mission. It was a battle that could change the fate of an entire planet. Below, the defenders on Dralos IV held their ground, but they were growing weaker. Supplies were almost gone, and many soldiers were wounded or exhausted. Commander Elon paced in, the command center, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. We need the humans now, he said, his voice steady but urgent. If they don't arrive soon, we won't last. Suddenly, the communications console beeped. A message flashed on the screen. Void Hunter incoming. Hope surged through the room like electricity. Soldiers stopped for a moment, looking up at the dark sky. Somewhere above, the humans were coming. Back on the Void Hunter, Captain Sloan watched the enemy fleet grow larger on the sensors. Ready weapons, she ordered. We hit them hard and fast. The ship's guns charged, glowing. Bright as energy built up in the barrels. When the command came, the Void Hunter fired a series of powerful blasts. Bright beams cut through space, striking enemy ships with deadly accuracy. Explosions lit the darkness. Enemy vessels shuddered and exploded, some breaking apart in massive fireballs. But the Krelvans fought back fiercely, launching missiles and energy pulses toward the Void Hunter. Shields holding at 85%, the tactical officer reported. Incoming missiles! Evasive maneuvers! Rhea shouted. The ship twisted and turned with grace, dodging the deadly attacks. The crew moved in perfect rhythm, a well-trained machine in the heat of battle. On the bridge, Lieutenant Mara worked the communications console. "Captain, I'm trying to reach the ground forces. They need real-time updates to hold their positions." Rhea nodded. "Keep the channel open. We'll give them every advantage we can." The battle in space raged on. The Void Hunter kept pushing the enemy fleet back, cutting off their ability to send fresh troops and supplies to the surface. Below, the defenders on Drylos IV used the chance to repair defenses and regroup. Commander Elan ordered his soldiers to move to safer positions and prepare for the next wave. Hours passed like this. The Void Hunter struck, then retreated to avoid enemy fire, then attacked again. The Krelvans were strong, but they had never faced humans before. The humans fought with skill and courage that shocked their enemies. In the command center, Elan saw the shift in the battle. "They're breaking," he said quietly. "The Krelvans are losing control of the skies." But he also knew the Krelvans would not give up easily. They were ruthless and would try everything to win. On the Void Hunter, Captain Sloan considered their next move. "Once we've weakened their fleet, we support the ground forces with strikes on key enemy positions. It's time to take the fight to the Krelvans." "Understood, Captain," said the tactical officer. "We're ready." The Void Hunter jumped closer to the planet's surface, firing precision strikes on Krelvan supply depots, communication centers, and weapon factories. Each hit slowed the enemy's advance and gave the defenders more breathing room. As the battle grew more intense, the human crew shared quiet moments of determination and hope. They knew they were the last line of defense for a planet on the Ewr, brink of destruction. Captain Sloan looked at her crew. "We're not just fighting for Drylos IV, we're fighting for every world that counts on us." Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up a large enemy war machine moving toward the city. Massive Krelvan battle tank, armed with weapons capable of destroying entire blocks in seconds. "Target the war machine," Rhea ordered. "We can't let it reach the defenders." The Void Hunter fired a powerful missile that struck the tank with a direct hit. The ground shook as the machine exploded in a shower of sparks and metal. On the surface, soldiers cheered. The morale of the defenders lifted. The arrival of the humans was more than just help. It was a promise that they could win. But the battle was far from over. The Krelvans regrouped and prepared for another assault, more brutal than before. The defenders and the Void Hunter crew knew this was the moment that would decide the future of Drylos IV. The warship roared through the void, faster and more dangerous than ever. Captain Sloan was ready to lead the fight and show the galaxy why humans were the ultimate fighters. The sky above Drylos IV was filled with fire and smoke, but now there was a new sound, a deep roaring thunder that shook the ground and hearts alike. The Void Hunter had arrived in full force, its dark hull gleaming like a star in the war-torn sky. Alien soldiers stopped their fighting and stared upward, mouths open in awe and disbelief. Captain Rhea Sloan stood on the bridge of the Void Hunter, watching as her ship moved into position over the city. Her eyes were sharp and calm, but inside, she felt the weight of responsibility. The defenders below had held on for too long. Now it was time to show what humans could do. "Raise the energy shields," she ordered. "Prepare the main cannons. Let's remind them why they fear us." The crew worked quickly, the ship humming with power. Bright blue energy shields flickered into place, protecting the Void Hunter from the enemy's attacks. The main cannons charged with a low, steady growl that promised destruction. On the ground, Commander Elan gathered his soldiers. "Look up," he said quietly, pointing to the sky. "Our help has arrived. The humans have come." A cheer rose from the tired defenders. Their hope, once fading, now burned brightly again. Suddenly, the Void Hunter fired. Powerful beams of energy shot from the ship's cannons, cutting through the enemy forces like lightning. Enemy war machines exploded in fireballs, and soldiers were thrown from their cover. The Krelvans were stunned. They had heard the stories of human ships, but now they faced one in battle. A warship faster, stronger, and more deadly than any they had seen. "Target the Krelvan command ship," Captain Sloan commanded. "Take it out." The Void Hunter shifted its aim, focusing on the massive Krelvan flagship. With a brilliant flash, the flagship was hit by a direct strike. It exploded into pieces, sending debris tumbling across space. Without their leader, the Krelvan forces lost some of their coordination. Their attacks became wild and desperate. On the city streets, defenders pushed forward. They fought with new strength, inspired by the human ship's attack. Mira, the young soldier, fired her rifle with renewed hope. "We can win," she whispered to herself. "We have to." The Void Hunter continued its assault, moving like a storm across the skies. It fired precise blasts to protect the defenders and destroy enemy artillery. In the enemy camps, panic spread. The Krelvans realized they faced a new kind of enemy, one that fought with skill, courage, and a will to never give up. Captain Sloan watched the battle unfold. "Keep up the pressure," she said. "We must give the defenders every chance to take back their city." Back on the surface, Commander Elon saw the change in the battle. "We're turning the tide," he told his officers. "Hold the line and press forward." The defenders pushed deeper into the city, retaking key positions lost to the enemy. Streets once filled with Krelvan soldiers now echoed with the sounds of their retreat. But the battle was not over. The Krelvans launched one last desperate attack. Massive wave of soldiers and machines aimed at breaking the defenders' line. "Prepare for impact," Elon warned. "Hold your ground." The Void Hunter responded immediately. It unleashed a barrage of energy that tore through the enemy wave, stopping their advance and forcing them back. The city shook with explosions, but the defenders stood firm. The combined power of humans and allies was too strong. As the sun began to rise, the battlefield grew quiet. The Krelvans had retreated, defeated for now. Captain Sloan looked out at the planet below. "This victory is just the start," she said. "We will not stop until Draelos 4 is safe." The defenders cheered, their hearts filled with hope and gratitude. Humanity had arrived, and with them came a new chance for peace. The morning sun cast a pale light over the battered city of Draelos 4. The fires were still burning in places, but the enemy was retreating, broken and defeated. The defenders stood tall, their faces tired but proud. They had survived the worst. The Krelvans could throw at them, thanks to the sudden arrival of the humans. Captain Rhea Sloan stepped down from the Void Hunter and walked into the city's command center. The room was filled with alien leaders, commanders from many worlds who had fought side by side to protect their homes. Commander Elon greeted her with a firm handshake. "Captain Sloan," Elon said, his voice steady but tired. "Your arrival changed everything. We owe you our lives." Rhea nodded. "We are here to help, but the fight isn't over. The Krelvans will return, and we need to be ready." Ellen gestured to a large map on the wall, showing the city and surrounding areas. "Our defenses are weak. We have few supplies left, and many of our soldiers are exhausted." Rhea studied the map carefully. "Then we need to train your troops, teach them new tactics and ways to fight. Humans have faced tough battles before, and we know how to survive and win." Over the next days, the Void Hunter crew worked closely with the defenders. Soldiers gathered in small groups to learn from the humans. They practiced new formations, how to use cover better, and how to coordinate attacks and defenses. Mira, the young soldier, trained with one of the human instructors. At first she was unsure. Humans were different, faster, and stronger. But soon she realized that their experience gave her new confidence. "They fight smart," she told Elon. "They don't just rely on strength, they use their minds." "Commander." Elon watched the training with hope. The defenders needed more than just weapons. They needed strategy, teamwork, and a spirit that would not break. Captain Sloan spent hours in meetings with the council and commanders. She shared plans to strengthen defenses, organize supply lines, and improve communication. She knew that if the Krelvans returned, the defenders had to be ready. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Rhea stood with Elon on a rooftop, looking out over the battlefield. "Why do humans fight so fiercely?" Elon asked. Rhea smiled softly. "Because we fight for each other, for our families, our homes, and our future. We don't give up, no matter how hard it gets. Elon nodded thoughtfully. That's what we need to learn, not just how to fight, but why. As days passed, the defenders grew stronger. Their movements were sharper, their attacks more coordinated. The Void Hunter remained in orbit, ready to strike at a moment's notice. But the human crew did more than teach battle skills. They shared stories of their past struggles, their victories and losses. They spoke of hope and courage, inspiring the defenders beyond the battlefield. One night, Captain Sloan gathered her crew. "We came here to save a planet," she said. "But we're doing more than that. We're building something new, a bond between different worlds." Her crew nodded, understanding the importance of their mission. Suddenly, an alarm sounded on the Void Hunter. The tactical officer's voice was calm but serious. "Captain Krelvan's ships detected approaching the system. They're coming back, and they have reinforcements." Ria's eyes hardened. "Prepare the ship. Get ready to defend the city. This fight isn't over." The defenders on the ground braced themselves, knowing the Krelvans would return stronger and more determined. But now, they were not alone. With humans by their side, they had a new chance to protect their home and win. The night sky over Dralos IV was filled with the bright flashes of distant explosions. The Krelvans had returned, stronger and more determined than ever. Their ships crowded the orbit, and ground forces marched again toward the city. But this time, the defenders were ready. Captain Ria Sloan stood on the bridge of the Void Hunter, her eyes sharp and steady. The ship hummed with power, its weapons ready to strike. Beside her, the crew worked quickly, their faces focused but calm. "Enemy fleet approaching fast," the tactical officer said. "They're larger than before, but their formation is weak." Ria smiled. "Good, let's use that." The Void Hunter shot forward like a bolt of lightning, cutting through enemy lines with precise blasts. Explosions rocked the enemy ships, sending some spinning out of control. Below, Commander Ilan and his soldiers fought fiercely. Thanks to the training and support from the humans, the defenders moved like a well-oiled machine. They worked together, covering each other and attacking with smart tactics. Mira led a squad through the streets, her heart pounding. "Keep moving. We hold this city," she shouted. Her team responded with steady fire, pushing the enemy back. Step by step, the Krelvans fought harder than ever, but the combined forces of the defenders and the Void Hunter were stronger. The battle raged for hours, but slowly, the Krelvans began to retreat. Captain Sloan ordered a final strike on the enemy command center hidden deep in the city. With a powerful blast, the Void Hunter destroyed it, breaking the enemy's control. On the ground, the defenders saw the enemy falter and fall back. Cheers erupted as the last Krelvan forces fled. The city was safe. After the battle, Captain Sloan met with Commander Ilan and the council leaders in the command center. The room was filled with relief and gratitude. "You saved us," Ilan said, his voice full of respect. "Without you, we would have lost everything." Ria shook her head. "We fought together. Your courage and strength made this possible. Humans don't win battles alone." The council leader stepped forward. "This victory marks a new beginning. We want to form an alliance with humanity. Together, we can protect our worlds from future threats." Ria smiled. "I agree. This is just the start of something bigger." The Void Hunter crew began helping the defenders rebuild their city and defenses. Supplies and medical aid flowed in. The alliance brought new hope to Dralos IV and beyond. As the ship prepared to leave orbit, Ria looked back at the planet below. "We'll return," she promised. "Humanity will stand with you. We are stronger together." The Void Hunter roared once more and vanished into the stars. The defenders watched the sky, knowing that they were no longer alone. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had arrived.